Bill 1169. Recognize Representative Raymond to explain his bill.
Thank you, Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Chairman, I'm glad to help. I know you have a very busy session, and so members, I was glad to introduce this bill on behalf of the chairman. He asked me to carry it. As Chairman Darby. So Chairman Darby asked me to carry this bill for him, and I'm glad to do it, Chairman, because I know you've got a busy session. So members, let me just read the notes that the chairman laid out for me here. As you all recall, Winter Storm Uri, a couple of sessions ago, highlighted a need for our oil and gas infrastructure to have a comprehensive plan for emergencies. Although there were some measures taken, I don't believe that they were comprehensive enough to protect our oil and gas industry. Terrorist attacks, cybersecurity threats, disasters, power outages, and general storms all threaten our oil and gas infrastructure. After this bill was filed earlier, we had an attack on Colonial Pipeline. Some of you may remember that. It's a company based in Houston, but goes all the way up to Virginia, and the Virginia operations were attacked. It was a cyber attack, ransomware attack, and they had to pay $4.4 million, but it was a big deal because they moved gasoline and jet fuel. Without proper plans of security against these attacks, our oil and gas industry is vulnerable. House Bill 1169 would have the Railroad Commission develop a comprehensive plan of action in case of these emergencies. Members, I've worried about this for a long time, and I think we're now in an era where we need to worry about it even more. You can imagine if we had some kind of attacks on our energy infrastructure here in the state of Texas, or anywhere in the country, but we can do something about the state of Texas. And obviously, the Colonial Pipeline attack shows that even though we were based in Texas, other states were affected. So, I wish I didn't feel that way, but representing Laredo, where we're now the busiest port of entry in the country in terms of commerce, really in the Western Hemisphere, we periodically will get a bomb threat for our World Trade Bridge or Columbia Bridge. And if either one of those, but especially the World Trade Bridge, were to be taken out with a bomb, what that would do to the supply chain in this country would be devastating. So, knowing that we have that there, and obviously oil and gas is very, very important for us. The industry is very, very important for us in South Texas, but it is for the whole state. I just feel like this is something that this is what we have the Railroad Commission for. They're a great agency, have some really great commissioners on there, especially one named Craddock. And so they are very much willing to work with us, but we've got to give them some direction and the authority to do so. With that, Chairman, I'm glad to try to answer any questions, but I can tell you there's no question but that we should pass this bill.
Members, any questions of the bill author at this time? Representative Craddock or Dean Craddock.
What's the fiscal note on this bill?
Nothing. It's zero. It's zero because I've talked with Commissioner Craddock and other commissioners, and we've talked about this. They don't think they'd have to spend extra money. They can use their resources. They're very good about that.
So there shouldn't be any more employees or anything?
No,
because
no. But what I think it will do, Speaker, is I think it will allow them to really work with the industry and probably find out some of the things that the industry is really concerned about and try to get some sense of that if we do have some attacks, and I wish I didn't feel this way, but I have felt this way for a long time, that they're coming. And when you had that Virginia, the Colonial Pipeline attack, that was just, confirmed what I had thought for some time. But I think that, they'll come up with something that'll be very helpful to the industry and really in the end to all of Texas.
Thank you.
Members, Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Raymond, thank you so much for mentioning the national security implications of these attacks. Yes. I think, navigating through government, knowing kind of what we know behind the scenes, we don't talk enough about how vulnerable we are as a nation and how national security is at risk every day in Texas. This is such a wonderful initiative, and I'm, I'm very surprised that, we don't have something already robustly in place. But more so, I think it's very important for us to recognize this moment as a moment where we can take resources we already have and properly reroute or reallocate those resources into a product that might be a little bit more forward-thinking than what we're used to. And sometimes when we talk about these things, they might sound like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or oh, that's only in the movies. But thank you, because this is very real.
Well, again, this would be, Representative, this would not only be man-made disasters, but it would be natural disasters. And I think we saw with Winter Storm Uri, which was, a natural disaster, if you will. It can be devastating. But it was a wake-up call that if we're not prepared, 700 people die, in that one event over 2 days, basically, Chairman?
Members, any other questions? We'll proceed to testimony and allow you an opportunity to close at the right time. This time, the chair will call Mike George, Senior Strategic Planner, Texas Department of Public Safety. Mike,
Morning, sir.
we show you registered as Mike George, as Senior Strategic Planner for the Texas Department of Public Safety, and you're registered neutral on House Bill 1169. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You may proceed.
I'm Mike George. I lead the staff of the Texas Office of Homeland Security within DPS. We support Colonel Freeman Martin in his role as the governor's Homeland Security Director. And our office also includes a small critical infrastructure protection office that plays an important coordinating role for the state. So I'm here as a resource witness, happy to answer any questions. I guess I would offer that the discussion on the increase in both natural hazards and human-caused threats to critical infrastructure is certainly real. The interdependencies across critical infrastructure create a lot of vulnerabilities, and so I think any planning along these lines is great. There has been a lot of work done by the Public Utilities Commission. They drafted a Texas Energy Security Plan, and I think that's going to provide a solid foundation that a new plan led by the RRC, specifically aimed at oil and gas, could build on. But happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Members, any questions? Thank you for your testimony. We're going to call somebody from the Railroad Commission. Scott Larson, are you present?
Good morning. I'm Scott Larson with the Railroad Commission, Assistant General Counsel.
Let me do my thing first,
Oh,
and
I'm
then you
sorry.
can begin. We show you as registered as Scott Larson, Assistant General Counsel, Railroad Commission of Texas. You're here testifying neutral on House Bill 1169. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You
sir.
may begin. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Scott Larson. I'm Assistant General Counsel with the Office of General Counsel for the Railroad Commission, just here available in case there are any questions for the Railroad
I
Commission.
think Dean Craddock has a question.
So, as I understand the process, and I may be wrong, but, so this bill goes to the Railroad Commission to put together a draft or some type of a number for a fiscal note, is that correct?
I don't know that I know that. I just know that this requires us to create a plan based on the
And so
delineated
then
items.
it comes to the legislature over here, and then that fiscal note can either be kept, adjusted, or thrown out. If you don't understand, you don't have to answer if you don't understand it. But where I'm going is, it's my understanding the Railroad Commission submitted a fiscal note on this bill. Are you aware of that?
I believe there were indications there were a couple of groups that would require employees to develop this plan.
Do you know the number?
I believe it was, I think, 3 for critical infrastructure and 1 for the oil and gas group.
What was the number?
Full-time employees, total 4.
4? Okay, and what was the cost of that?
I don't know that I know the exact cost.
Is there anybody here from the Railroad Commission that knows it?
I could check. No, we don't. We would have to get back with you and provide the exact number.
Well, I'd like to have that before this committee ends today,
Certainly. Yes, sir.
okay? And because I think it was substantial. And then it was thrown out by the, by the LBB zeroed it out. And I'm kind of a little in shock over that. I didn't realize that the LBB threw out what the agencies gave us. And I want to know why they did that, Mr. Chairman. And if they did, then I want to know what the difference is and who created the difference between 4 employees or 1,000 employees or whatever. What difference does it make?
Certainly.
So if you could check with whoever you need to check and come back to us, I'm sure the chairman will recognize it at some point to do that.
Exactly. Scott, would you seek to find an answer to Dean Craddock's question regarding the number of employees and the total dollars involved in a potential fiscal note that's not reflected on the fiscal note that was provided by the LBB on March the 20th? So would you check with the commission and come back and report before the end of this meeting?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, any questions, Scott? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1169? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Raymond to close on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Speaker Craddock. I did not know that, it was my understanding that they felt they could do it with 1,000 employees they have already. But again, if the committee sees fit to add money to it, I mean, I understand, and I would be for that because I think this is that important. But by the same token, I'm guessing, I'm not defending LBB, I mean, I'm not, but I'm guessing that's where they were coming from. They've gone around 1,000 employees, and I'm sure all of them have plenty to do, but this is so important that what we've done now for years, I think, in the legislature is we really work with agencies and try to ask them to do more with what we give them, especially if it's something of this importance. But again, Speaker, if you all wanted to add money to the bill, I would certainly support your decision. Yeah.
Members, any questions? And you close?
Yes, and I want to thank Speaker Craddock and Representative Morales for joint authoring this bill. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know if you know you.
Representative Garcia.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to co-sign to what you
Okay.
just said and state
Yes.
that, even if there is a fiscal note that comes with this, I ask that not deter us from the importance of it. I certainly won't, and I really think that we need to be focusing on whatever investment it's going to take to ensure that security. So thank you, sir.
One attack or anything that happens, just one in this state the consequences, I think, will be devastating. So thank you. With that, Chairman, I close, and I appreciate your consideration, and thank you, members.
Okay, if there's no objection, House Bill 1169 will be left pending. Is there objection? The chair hears none. The bill is left pending. This time, the chair